Hey beauty warriors, welcome to Battle Tested Beauty. My name is Nicole. I try and review makeup for sweaty people. Today I want to rank all my drugstore foundations for their use in the gym. So first thing I want to point out is I have very oily skin. I mention it in every video, but it really does play a huge role in how your foundation wears just every day, let alone once you start to get really sweaty in a gym. So that said, typically, drugstore foundations don't hold up all that well for oily skin once you start to get into sweaty settings. When I was making my ranking, so I'm testing a whole bunch of these. I think there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, altogether, 10. Let me move my water glass somewhere else. 10 altogether. So I'm making these rankings. I considered how they wore throughout the day before I got to the gym when I was making these, right? Because that's just life. I kind of wanted to consider a little bit of life involved in there as well too, especially considering most drugstore foundations don't live up to my standards in the gym anyways. Like you're not going to walk out looking freaking fresh and fantastic or anything. You're pretty much going to have nothing here, pretty much nothing there. And depending on how they wore, you're going to have a little something there. And that's that, right? Let's just move forward. In number 5 is the Maybelline Fit Me Foundation. It claims to be matte and poreless and it's supposed to match your natural tone. It has a natural finish and it's for normal to oily skin. It's actually really dewy on me. It's really kind of shiny. It's cute. It looks nice, so it looks very natural, but dewy on me. And it'll become pretty greasy pretty quickly. And you have to, blot and powder a little bit to keep her looking throughout the day. Once you get to the gym, why I actually put this in the ranking at all is because it dyes completely and gracefully, and you actually have very moisturized skin afterwards. So sometimes if I sweat a whole bunch and then the sweat dries down, my skin's like, it can feel kind of gross. And it feels so moisturized and fresh afterwards once this Maybelline Fit Me kind of like into my skin. So that's why it's in the number 5. I like the way it wears throughout the day. It's just a little bit fussy and greasy. And then it just disappears gracefully and moisturizes my skin at the gym. I like it. Number 4 is the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation. This guy, first thing, I hate this lid because it's like you go to pick it up out of your tray and you're like, oh, I'm gonna just get my Revlon True Blend. Oh, it won't do it on the camera. And it just pops off and makes a chaos inside my makeup cart and it drives me bananas. Anyways, moving forward. This one claims to have flexi hold technology and mattifying oils and all that kind of jam. Claims to be for 12-hour wear and a medium coverage. I find if you try and build it up to, like a medium coverage, it looks really, it's kind of drying and like extra matte. So it can look a little whack. And so when you start to sweat, right, it'll break apart. If you've got it really, really heavy in here, it'll start to break apart and look pretty, it won't look so fantastic. So yeah, keep it on the light medium spectrum when you're applying these. Okay, so the CoverGirl True Blend, I find it tends to settle in my lines a little bit. That's okay. Like most foundations do. I got it. Like you can see, it's really big, right? It's kind of normal. I understand that's okay. It's a little bit more difficult to pat out for the most part, I think. But with like a moistened sponge, you can usually pat it a little bit out throughout the day. It dries down completely, but like I said, it's kind of dry, and I wouldn't recommend this for super dry skin. Once you get to the gym, it will break up around here if it's heavier. I already mentioned that, but it will tend to like just disappear kind of gracefully in my T-zone, and you can, fire a little powder back on there without too much trouble, without looking like too whack. But for the most part, it dyes gracefully and keeps a little bit of coverage on the outside there. You can pat up, and I don't mind that. That's okay. In number 3 is the Revlon Color Stay. This guy claims to be 24-hour wear. It's a medium coverage. It's got SPF 15 in it. That's handy, I suppose, for normal to oily skin. So this guy dries down not so fast. It's pretty sticky. It's got a runny formula to it. Like, I'm not even gonna squirt it out. It's got a really runny formula to it. It stays sticky, right? Like I think the first time I wore it, I had to walk to the station. I had to walk to the subway station, and like bugs were spawning or something like that. And how do these little black bugs stuck to my forehead because it was just so damn sticky? So another weird thing that this one will do too is if you don't powder it enough, or actually I don't even know why it does this. Maybe that's not even how or why it does this, but it will cling to any kind of bronzer and blush that you put to your face. So it'll hold on to that. So when you're going to the gym, as long as you've got like a good powdered down first, I find. I think that's the thing. As long as you've powdered it reasonably well outside here, because remember it stays sticky, and then you put your bronzer on, it's okay. But if you get this clinging thing when you're at the gym, it will stay like this like weird ring of your bronzer wherever you put it. So like if you contoured with it, it's staying there like that dude that was all over the internet years ago when you had that like forehead to neck beard thing. Oh, it looks really bizarre. But this is actually in my number 3 position because I like the way that it looks throughout my day. It does crease a little tiny bit. That's okay. Only to its like kind of like sticky texture. You can kind of work it out a little tiny bit. This one, you don't want to go back in with a wet sponge though to try and work it out. I like to actually keep a sponge with me when I go to work, and then I'll just like wet it and just, because I get such crazy creases there. This one I find it'll lift off a little tiny bit, so don't do that. But you can do it with your fingers and stuff. Anyways, when you're wearing it at the gym, it looks reasonably good, except for the aforementioned neck beard bronzer thing. It's unfortunate. That's okay. It tends to just dye gracefully in your T-zone without a problem. Same thing like the number 4, the CoverGirl. You can powder it a little bit and it'll cling to that again. Like whatever is actually, like I say, it disappears, but it's still there somewhere. I don't know what the hell it's doing. You just don't see it so much, but you can put powder back on and it's okay. It looks all right. No problems there. I ranked it number 3 rather than number 4 because I just like the way that it looks a little bit better than the Girl. I think it goes on a little bit weird. No, it actually goes on a little bit nicely, but it just dries down so weird. But anyways, I've mentioned that, so we'll move on. So my number 2 position is actually held down by 3 different foundations. All these guys here. So we've got the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Wear Matte. Then I've got the Maybelline Super Stay, and then the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop. All these guys sit in number 3. They wear beautifully. All of them wear beautifully. They wear a little bit differently, each and every one of them, but they do look absolutely gorgeous. They wear throughout my day really, really nicely. And then when I get to the gym, they actually keep some coverage overall. I believe the NYX and the Maybelline, the Super Stay and the Can't Stop, Won't Stop are both full coverage. And they actually are, the NYX more so than the Maybelline, I think. And then the Infallible Pro Matte from L'Oreal. This one's more of a medium coverage. This one looks beautiful on the skin as well. It holds up just as well in the gym. Like they will all still be there a little tiny, tiny, tiny bit. As long as you didn't go wild and crazy or anything. Pardon my weird hair today. I decided I was going to straighten it, and I don't know. It's just really defiant. It just does not want to be straight, and it's just doing its absolute best to go back to its natural position in the most ungraceful ways possible. Moving on. So all 3 of these, I just couldn't give them a spot. Also, I wanted to make a top 5, and a top 9 would just be awkward, and that's an odd number, and we're not doing that. None of these really look cakey, with the exception, I think the NYX Can't Stop, Won't Stop is more full coverage, like I mentioned, so that one can actually wind up looking a little bit cakey. But the other 2, it's quite difficult to make them look cakey when you start to build them up. I never try and build up a medium coverage foundation more than medium, but this is just asking for trouble. The Maybelline and the NYX both claim to be transfer proof. They're both like transfer resistant, you know, like you'll get some transfer anyways. Infallible's not supposed to be transfer proof. It never claims to be. That's okay. It doesn't matter. They all claim to be 24 hours, and they do wear quite nicely. They'll settle in my lines. Each and every one of them will settle in my lines. I like the Super Stay the best the way that it wears, though. I'm wearing it today. If I had to say one of these was my favorite out of the 3, I would probably go with the Maybelline Super Stay. I think it just looks nicest out of all of them, and I've been wearing it a lot lately, but that's probably just because I've been wearing it a lot lately, and it's one of the only ones that I match in color properly. Most of my foundations, I have 9 in front of me, and almost none of them match my skin, and it's so aggravating. So I'm gonna have a bias for the Super Stay because it actually matches my skin. Number 1, my number 1 foundation that I love in the gym and for everyday wear from the drugstore is the CoverGirl Outlast Active. This one is designed for the gym, so they had this in mind. It looks like it's in a smaller bottle. They all have 30 milliliters, 1 fluid ounce. So, it's just optical illusion. So this one, I love the way it wears throughout the day. And then when I get to the gym, this still holds on pretty decently. So you sweat, it's okay. It will disappear in the T-zone. Like I said, all of these will, that's okay too. But I find this one just holds on the best. So this one had the best performance and the best non-death, I guess. Like they all died, like I said, but this one, it did, this hair is driving me nuts. This one held on the absolute best out of all of them. It claims to be sweat proof, it claims to be humidity proof, and it claims to be transfer proof. I mean, it's all of those things, I suppose. It's transfer resistant, like you will still get transfer off of it, but how much of that is also the powder that you set with? Oh yeah, by the way, this dries down super duper duper fast, which is one of the reasons why I like it. I love a foundation that dries down very, very fast. I have oily skin, like I said, so if it has some alcohol in it, I really don't care. It's okay. I can handle it. So it goes down super fast to a powder matte finish pretty much. Like it's natural looking still, but you don't feel the need to powder with this, which is, I don't know, good or bad, I suppose, if you were trying to avoid transfer, because maybe the powder will come off first. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. Anyways, some of it will come off, but it's actually not that bad and way better than the rest of these. I could get oily eventually throughout my day when I'm wearing this for everyday kind of use, but nothing a little blotting and powder couldn't take care of. I think it just looked beautiful and definitely deserved a #1. This is what they made it for. They know what they're doing. 24-hour claims and all these wonderful claims. It really is it's a good foundation and I like it. Is it my absolute favorite foundation on earth? No, that's okay. It's a great one from the drugstore, and I definitely suggest you give it a try if you like to go to the gym with foundation on your face. I have some ones that I've been wearing, but don't make it in the gym. Let me just bring these babies over here. Ooh, I can't show them. Okay, so I've got these 4 foundations. Probably can't see them all. Doesn't matter. So I've got the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. We're going to mention here the NYX Total Control Foundation Drops, the e.l.f. Flawless Finish Foundation, and the Milani Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation. So all of these I don't recommend that you try and wear to the gym. None of them looked very nice. They all had their own issues with them. Like I found that this guy didn't look awful or anything, but you're just greasy as all hell if you have oily skin at the very least. So by the time you've worn it throughout the day and then you get to the gym, you're going to look like cack, I think. It's going to disappear pretty quickly. You're going to be really shiny, really oily. It's just not going to be nice. The Milani, too greasy, just doesn't look great. It settles in all my fine lines and all my, and I couldn't really deal too much with it. All of these like did weird things when you sweat though. Like, so if you have foundation like up here or over here, usually that's not too badly disrupted unless you like touch it or anything if you're sweating. So yeah, by the way, pat, don't wipe. When you're all sweaty and stuff, pat it. Moving on. But all of these would actually like lift off of your face when you start to sweat. It just, they didn't hold on very nicely at all, but in bizarre ways. The e.l.f. Flawless Finish, it was greasy looking. It was too cakey. It didn't even live through my, like I didn't even like the way it looked on me throughout my day. So like going to the gym with it. But yeah, it broke apart and lifted in weird ways when I sweat, just like those other ones too. And then this guy, this is a really weird one. I picked this up from a Nordstrom rack. I don't know if they still make the NYX Total Control drops anymore. But for shits and giggles, I would try it out. And like, it's got some really polarized reviews online. I found it really difficult to put on. It was the first time I've ever had a foundation that I was able to put on with a brush and it didn't look really crazy in my pores, but it looked really weird. It separates, like it turns into little continents on your face once you start to sweat. And when oil starts to cake through, it transfers really bad and just, I don't know. It's not a very nice foundation. I don't like it at all. Maybe I gotta fuck around with it a little bit more, but that's just not my jam. I don't like that one. Okay guys, that covers it. That's all my foundations I've been using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, for some reason I thought I had 9 this whole time. This whole time I've been making this video, I thought I had 9 foundations, but I guess I talked about 11 today. So here's my top 11 foundation from the drugstore in the form of a top 5 video. See how I snuck that in there? I don't think I lied. I just gave you more value. You got more value. Don't complain. It's a short video anyways. Okay guys, thank you so much for checking in. Talk to you soon in the next video. Bye.